Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. As you can tell from the intro, I have got the Peterbilt hooked up to this trailer here, and I've backed up to the shop so that I could check the tire pressure and the hub oil level. So obviously this video is probably about hauling something. I haven't even got this mess cleaned up from the last video where I took that old Pettibone apart, and here I am looking at dragging another project here into the shop yard. So a couple days ago, I was perusing the Facebook marketplace and happened across a 1977 International Transstar. According to the ad, it has got an 8V92 Detroit in it, and apparently it has run in the last year. Also, it is advertised as having something done to the engine, some engine work, but there's no paperwork to verify that, so I'm not going to put a lot of faith into that. Now, that particular truck is a single screw, so single rear axle, cab over truck, so it should be really short and stubby. And I think that will be really handy here in the shop yard for doing stuff like moving this trailer around or our big race trailer so I can shuffle it around. So what I'm going to do while the sun is still out, I need to run around and find the rest of my chains and binders and stuff that I might need to get that truck loaded. And then tomorrow morning, we're going to drive about 300 miles, the family and myself, north to Idaho and take a look at this truck. Now, if I can get the truck started and running and loaded on this trailer under its own power, I'm going to go ahead and buy it and bring it back here as a little project. You know, not a big project, just something I can tinker around with here and there and maybe get some use out of it. Now, if I find out that there's something wrong with it to the point that it's just a bit bigger project than I need to take on right now, then I'll just let it sit. We'll come on back home and who knows, I'll have a pocket full of cash and I still got Facebook Marketplace, so maybe we'll find something along the way home. As for you guys, I'm going to go ahead and end this part of the video right here. I'll bring you back tomorrow sometime, mid-trip, probably on the way up there. Hopefully it's a good trip. We don't have any trouble. And we'll just see you guys in the morning. Well, good morning, folks. It's about 10 to 5 and 27 degrees or 24 degrees out, according to my pickup. So we're going to fire up the Pete here. A little cold start action. Get this show on the road. I'm just kidding. It's been plugged in all night. Of course it was going to start. I'm going to finish gathering up the rest of my things and get going. About 40 miles from the shop. Stopped here and topped off the fuel tanks. I'm going to jump back on the road and hopefully I won't stop again until I get on site with the truck. Here we go. Well, here we are. Pretty uneventful trip. It's motored right up here. It's about 11 o'clock local time here. We get to take the first look at this thing. Looks like it's pretty complete. That's good news. Really fairly clean too. I'm gonna put this camera down and really start taking a look at it. Once I get to messing with it, I'll bring you guys back and set the camera up, see if we can get this thing going. Well, I guess the number one important thing is to make sure there isn't any water in the oil pan. There is coolant in the radiator, down a little low, but really not too bad. So we gotta get on here and crack this drain plug and just see what we're looking at. Oh, looks like a 3/8 ratchet is needed. That's a lot easier than what I thought I'd need. I just need to go get more tools. No water. That's good news. Very good news. Got coolant, not in the pan. Next step is put some batteries in it. See how alive this thing is. Maybe two just won't do it. we'll see what 3 does. Maybe just enough.
Well, have you tried it already?
Yeah, it almost cranks over with just 2 batteries.
Fuel. Getting fuel.
Is it?
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's the worst part about a cable.
Going good. Going good.
You want me to spray it while you?
I'm just gonna give her
Should go.
By the time I get here, half of it'll be gone.
Yeah.
Want to hit her again?
Yeah. Go ahead and start cranking. Give her a nice good whip. We're close.
Whoa. Whoa.
Well, it started and drove on the trailer under its own power. So I guess I'm gonna bring it home. The brakes are pretty much non-functional, but everything's there. Probably just needs a little work. So it does have an 8B92 and a 13 speed in it. That'll make a great little yard truck. So now I get to head home to Golconda, Nevada. I'll be driving in the dark here shortly. Better get on the road. Well, this will probably be my last stop in the daylight. Got about 150 miles and it's all freeway back to the shop. Everything's good so far, easy trip. Double check my chains and my lights and hit the road.
The next day.
Good morning, everybody. As you can see, I've got this truck back here at the shop yard. The trip home yesterday was uneventful, and I rolled in here probably about 6 o'clock, so just very shortly after dark. I just backed in the yard here, dumped the trailer, put the Pete back in the building where it belongs, and now this morning I want to see if I can get this thing fired up, backed off the trailer, and then pull it over closer to the shop and take a look at it. So I want to clean up the inside a little bit and then see what it's going to take for parts so I can get a little list going of the stuff that I need to order to make this thing a fairly dependable little yard truck. I know it's going to need some brake work, and then I want to see how, see if I can get an idea how good everything else on the truck really is. So I'm going to set this camera up, see if we can get this thing fired up, backed off the trailer, move it over a little closer to some tools and power. Well, I've got the truck moved over here by the shop, kind of run through it a little bit with the vacuum just to get rid of some of the hantavirus that's hiding out in here. And I've decided I'm going to try and get some air in this system and see where all the air leaks are at, or try to identify most of them. So I've got this conglomeration thrown together, just a valve and a female quick coupler for my air setup. I'm going to put it right there in that air tank. That way I can use an air-to-air or a male-to-male coupler in here, hook my shop air to it, air this truck up, and see where the air leaks are at without it running. I do know there's a couple under the dash in there, so we'll have to identify those and then see if there's anything else here on the truck. Then next, I would actually like to see if I can figure out how to get this cab to tilt, which it's got a pump here, a hand pump, but it's also tied into the air system. So I think if you push this button, something will happen and maybe it will run this pump pneumatically to lift the cab. I don't know, that's why I want to get the air hooked up and just kind of go from there. Well, my air coupler with a valve on that end of the tank did not work out very good. I didn't realize that this tank is actually two separate sections. This line up here comes from the compressor to this half of the tank. So by supplying air to this half, it just hits a check valve. It doesn't go anywhere else. So I had to put a temporary fitting in right here so we can charge this half of the tank and find my air leaks. When I turned the valve on there, it filled this part of the tank, and it was remarkably quiet for as many air leaks as I heard when I was running the truck. So now we'll see what happens here. Well, that is an air pump, and it sounds like it's trying to move the cab, but unfortunately, I can't get it to stop. So I'm gonna have to unhook the air before it tries to flip the cab over. Well, I went ahead and just took this line off for the cab pump so it won't run anymore, and then I capped the tank so there won't be a leak there. But while I was over here, I noticed this hose or this line going from this end of the air tank up here to the quick release valve for the brakes was also leaking pretty bad. So I went and got another piece of this nylon air line out of my stash in the shop. All the stuff, I'll reuse the nuts from these fittings, but I have new ferrules and these little inserts here. So we'll go ahead and replace this line real quick, and that will actually take care of one of the pretty good leaks. It's a bit long. Let's shorten that up a bit. And a tech tip for anyone interested. These PVC pipe cutters work really good on this nylon hose, this nylon line. Now we'll test this air system again. So after a bit more messing around, I ended up identifying a couple more leaks on this truck, a couple more air leaks. The big one being the D2 right here, or the governor on the back of the compressor. So what that unit does is, once the air reaches a set pressure, that D2 or the governor activates the unloader in the compressor. So the compressor can sit there and free spin, it quits making air pressure. That thing is actually leaking out of the piston on the end where you adjust that set pressure. That is the biggest air leak right now. Also, I found that this range selector that is normally clamped on the side of the shift lever in the cab is also leaking. And the park brake and tractor protection valve inside on the dash are leaking. However, the park brake is not leaking too bad. The park brake button in the dash isn't leaking too bad. And I went ahead and went to town. I believe I have that park brake button here in the shed anyway. I went to town to get O-rings for this, but I found one of these on the shelf for like 20 bucks. So I just bought a new one. I bought a new D2 or the new governor, so I'm gonna install that. And then I also found that the brake pedal in the truck, I noticed this when I went to pick up the truck, was stuck. You could push on the pedal all you wanted and it wasn't gonna move. So I ended up buying a new brake valve. See, in the time lapse prior to this, I installed all these fittings on it. This is under the floor, and this gets supply air, and when you step on the pedal, it pushes this button down, delivers air to your brakes. Well, what actually ended up being stuck was this piston, or this plunger, in this part of the brake pedal. So once I got all of this taken apart, I actually found that this plunger here actually works fine in the original treadle valve, or the original brake valve. So I figured I've already got all the lines off of it. I've already got everything apart. There's no way I'm putting the old one back in here when I've already bought this one. I may throw the old one on the shelf and find out that it's still no good later when I change it into something else. But right now I have all the stuff to fix my major air leaks, I think. And if this all works, we might be able to take this thing for a drive around the block. Tell me if it has any catastrophic leaks in there.
What?
Ready in there?
Yeah. I feel something. Feel a gust of wind.
A gust of wind?
A gust of wind.
Or this is the park brake valve's leaking a little.
That must be where it's coming from.
Better.
Better.
Air ride seat works.
Yeah.
He needs a button though because it's just stuck on full open.
Oh, you grew a couple inches.
Something under the dash is leaking out. Yeah, we'll look for that in a minute. Okay, range shifter works. I need to cap off. This is the wrong knob for this apparatus. I can hear it leaking when I go to direct.
Agreed.
Sounds like the splitter's working.
Sounds like it.
And I'm going to take a walk around the outside of the truck and make sure no major leaks out there. And go from there. How's that project coming?
Better.
I'm going to hop out. I want you to jump in the driver's seat and have you step on the brakes.
The brake?
Yeah. Okay. Dang.
Hot dang.
Disappointment.
Which one's my brakes? This one?
That's the one.
Brake.
Definitely got an air can leaking on the left rear.
Yeah. That's
Brakes
no
work
good.
though.
That's good.
Yep.
Not good that we have a leak.
Fixable.
Fixable.
I guess I better address this first off. What's that?
I told it.
Well, now that you're in the driver's seat that the door opens, or the side of the truck that the door opens on, I'll have to have you get out and get me
You have
tools.
to make me go run errands.
That's alright.
Just gonna wipe off the deck.
I might actually need you to go get me a small crescent wrench
Small crescent wrench.
or another 5/8.
Another 5/8. Okay.
Hey, while you're out there,
Yeah.
go ahead and get a small crescent just in case. Thanks.
Yep. Oh man, my cleaning towel fell, so now it's no longer clean. It's fine.
Just gonna simple green it, and then
Wipe it.
when you're gonna break out your detailing kit.
I forgot I had that. Plus, I don't want to use all of my fancy stuff for this.
No?
Nope.
What do you mean? This is the most deserving piece of equipment around here for some fancy stuff.
No. Good God. It fell.
How's that stuff cleaning up?
Huh?
How's that stuff cleaning up?
Pretty decent. Good enough for this project.
Right there? Or, yeah, maybe even there.
Got it started.
Come on.
Got it. Got it.
Got it.
You fumbled the screwdriver.
I did not.
Yeah, you did. bounced it.
Yep, yep.
success.
Well, it's sat overnight. Let's see if this thing will fire up. Kind of a cold start after sitting all night long. Not too bad. Gonna let it build some air and then park it in a little bit more permanent place here in the yard for a little while. I think that's going to do it for this video. I got the truck home, got it running, got the majority of the air leaks fixed, and actually got to take it for a drive around the block. I don't know what the long-term plan is for this truck. Like I said, I'd like to have just a decent yard truck to kind of shuffle the trailers around and whatnot. And this would work currently for that job. But I think it would be kind of neat to have this truck also capable of pulling like our race trailer to a closer show, just kind of for fun. This truck is a long ways from doing that job currently. There are a couple of things left before I could actually use this truck for that purpose. One of the main things is tires. The tires on this thing are terrible. I might be able to shuffle some stuff around. My trailer needs new tires. I would like to do new steer tires on the Peterbilt before the 2026 season. So maybe I can end up with enough stuff to bolt on this truck that are actually mostly round. I don't know if you could see in the video, but this thing kind of loped down the road pretty good because of the tires being, flat spotted so bad. Another important piece that kind of would keep me from driving this truck down the road very much is the shifter itself. So on a cab over truck, there's a couple of components that a regular conventional semi-truck does not have. In a conventional semi-truck, this shifter here, basically sticks up directly through the floor, and you've got your shifter in the truck and it goes straight through the floor into the top of the transmission. Well, I'm sitting about the front of the engine right here in the truck. So the transmission is a good ways behind me. There is a couple of mechanical boxes, one on top of the transmission and then one right next to the seat here. And they're connected with a shaft and a U-joint. And both of those boxes, they just basically correlate the movement from this stick back to what it needs to do with the transmission. Now, the one on the top of the transmission itself feels like it's kind of stiff and gummy. So I don't know if maybe some of that, the transmission fluids worked its way up into it and kind of coagulated and it's just stiff from sitting. That would probably be pretty easy to correct if that's the issue. However, the shift tower right next to the seat here, where the actual shifter goes down through the floor into that mechanical box, that unit itself is flat worn out. It has a shaft that comes out the back that connects to a U-joint in the shaft going to the transmission. That shaft in the box is supposed to ride in a bushing and a seal, and I can tell that bushing, I would be surprised if it isn't completely worn through the bushing into the housing itself. Now, that's totally fixable, and I can look into that. It's just not something that's on my priority list anytime, throughout the rest of this year. I've got other stuff I've got to do. But before I drive this thing on the road anymore, I will probably have to correct that issue. The final and probably most critical issue I've found with the truck so far is the engine itself. Now, it starts pretty good, seems to run decent, Jake brakes work, but it's slobbering quite a bit of engine oil out the exhaust. Now I don't have a whole bunch of knowledge on two-stroke Detroit diesels, and the little bit of research that I've done so far basically indicates that if it has engine oil coming out the exhaust, that could mean just about anything's wrong with the engine. Anything from turbo seals, blower seals, could be anything oil control related on the piston itself. So oil coming out of the exhaust is not really a defining indicator of anything on this engine. I definitely need to dig into it further and see if it's something simple. If it could, if I could bolt a turbo on it and have this thing live a relatively long, happy life, I would do that. If it's something as critical as, something going on with the pistons, piston rings, oil control rings, something along those lines, it might be advantageous for me to look for maybe a little bit newer engine, like a Silver 92, maybe more power, something like that, that I can just bolt that assembly in and have the truck be a little bit better off. This truck itself, I feel, is worth what the money I paid for it, even if the engine is just tired and worn out. So it's going to be a little while before there's any more content on this particular truck here. But I do have some first of the year maintenance and a couple of upgrades that I want to do on the Peterbilt. And I know a few people have asked about that truck. So maybe the next video we could put something together, getting the truck ready for 2026 and a couple of little things I want to add to that truck before next year. So as for this video, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up, end it for real this time. As always, thanks for watching. Have a good one.